Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Opinion Machine. My name is Killjoy, and today I want to talk to you a bit about ARMS. ARMS is a fairly new, or it is new, IP that's just come out on the Nintendo Switch. I spent about 2 hours playing it, and I want to talk about my sort of first impressions of the game itself, what I like, what I don't like, and sort of the longevity I see of this game. To start off with, ARMS, if you don't know, is a game basically where you use a controller or the Joy-Con for the Switch, and you basically control a left and a right hand, and you punch, and you change up these arms. They have different properties, and the idea is you're trying to defeat the other opponent in this fighting arena. So it's basically a fighting game, but it's from over-the-shoulder perspective, rather than side-on or first-person or anything like that. You could kind of think maybe Wii boxing a little bit, but it's really not that similar, apart from the movements that you do. Anyway, ARMS is very much this game about, it's very easy to pick up, but it's very hard to master. I've been practicing and discovering from playing it. So first off, when I got the game, I started off, I thought, well, I need to just practice a little bit. I did some of the training basics, which is nice. It's just simple things. It just teaches you how to dodge, how to grab, how to punch, different things like that, like dealing with different types of opponents and how to like counter them, things like that. It's a very basic training mode, but it gives you all the things you need to figure out how to basically play this game. Now, I should point out, the entire time I played this game, I used the Joy-Con, so I was using the motion controls. Pushing the left Joy-Con forward is my left hand, pushing the right Joy-Con forward is my right hand, and then you use the L and R button to dodge and jump, and you tilt the Joy-Con left, right, forwards and backwards to move. Now, for the most part, I would say a good 90 to 95% of the time they work pretty well, but I did, in my 2-hour sessions, encounter one issue, and that is sometimes it doesn't always do the thing you want it to. So, for example, if you want to grab someone, you push both controllers forward. Now, sometimes you might want to punch and then afterwards punch again with your second controller. Now, if you do this too quickly, you'll end up grabbing. Now, in this game, if you grab, it leaves yourself completely open to be grabbed yourself or punched, which can be quite frustrating. The other thing that I found is the biggest issue with these controls is blocking. Now, blocking, if you imagine you're holding the Joy-Con in your hand, you tilt them towards each other, almost like they're looking at each other diagonally, and that causes your character to block. Now, this is the one thing I wish was mapped to a button during these motion controls, because I found blocking was the thing that didn't really activate when I wanted it to. Now, this could be the fact that obviously I'm still very inexperienced, but maybe I wasn't tilting them correctly, or I was tilting them too far. That might be what happened there, but it was frustrating. I haven't tried this game with controller, so I don't know what the controller controls are like, so I might end up coming back to doing another video on that. Just to be aware, that was one thing I wasn't a huge fan of, the blocking, but the rest of the controls work fine. It does take some learning, because sometimes you'll want to punch and spin your fist, but also move as well. So sometimes you'll punch in a weird way, because you can tilt your punches left or right, but then sometimes you want to move in the opposite direction, and sometimes I found myself not doing what I wanted to, and it's a big learning curve getting used to these controls, but for the most part they're there, they work, and I enjoyed them. Like, I can't imagine myself playing this game with a controller, because I like the motion controls in it, I like the way that it feels. So that was like my first little issue with the game. But after I did the training, I jumped into the single player, which is a Grand Prix mode, and you basically do 10 matches and then fight a boss, which is the last one, and you win, and you get points for doing it. You get points for doing every mode. And this mode is just a good way to introduce you into the game. It's great, I like it, it's very simple, but it does the job. There's a little bit of story about each character. Really like that. And it's a good way to build up points, which you use to unlock more arms for all the characters. Then after that, I jumped online and did the party mode. Now, I played the global test punch, so I had a little bit of experience playing this. Now, the party mode online lets you basically play lots of other people in a big lobby, and you do one-on-ones, all v all, which can be 4 or 3 people. You can do the hoops mode, you can do the volleyball mode, you can do versus headlocks, so it's everyone versus an AI enemy, and a team mode where you're both linked and you're fighting someone else. As a 1v1 game, I think this game is really fun. I think it's going to be good to watch. You have some intense matches. I had some intense matches looking at different people's play styles and stuff, and I was getting the grips of it fairly quickly, and I was enjoying playing against it. The only problem with this game is the modes that basically have more than 2 people. When you have a match where it's 1v1v1, so 3 people in total, it doesn't work very well, because essentially in that mode you have to change by tapping the button on the D-pad, which is quite awkward when you're using the Joy-Con, to switch your opponent, to switch target, because you're always locked onto your opponent. This doesn't work because someone always gets stuck in the middle. I played a round where literally both guys just attacked me. I tried to attack someone else and just got destroyed. It's not fun. You have all of the game modes online, this is the least fun mode. Even with the 4-player matches, which are better than the 3-player matches when it's all v all, they're okay, but it just becomes too chaotic. Now, I don't mind it because it doesn't come up that often. often, and it can be quite fun to just fling and just have a silly match. I don't think this game does a very good job, even 2v2. When you do 2v2, you're both tethered by a piece of string or an elastic or something like that. When one teammate goes down and it's then 2v1, it's very, very hard to come back from that, especially if you try to grab someone because they can just punch you out of it. So I don't really enjoy those modes. However, I did enjoy volleyball 4-player because that's just ridiculous. That mode's great. You just basically have to whack a ball back and forth. I lost pretty badly every time, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. But when the game's doing 1v1 modes, where it's like you versus one other player or you versus someone else doing the skill shot or the basketball mode, I like that. I think that's where the game really shines. The only mode I liked that was more than one player, more than 2 players, was the versus headlock, which is this AI character, and you're all fighting to beat him up. That I really liked. During my playtime of this game, I very much enjoyed most of what I played, but I did come up with some problems and some frustrations with this game. It's probably best to do a lot of the single player and unlock a lot of the arms first, because a lot of the people online, I ran into some people that were really high level and just had ridiculously difficult combinations to beat. Now I'm not saying it's impossible, and obviously I'm not that good at the game. One example was someone had what looked like a normal boxing glove that could freeze you, and then they'd have this other like boomerang type weapon, and they'd throw it in such a way where, because the match isn't that long and you don't have a huge amount of health, by the time I figured out what they were doing, the match was over. They would freeze me and set me up in the thing and get frozen and then throw me and just do the same thing over and over and over and over again. It was very difficult to do anything. I didn't touch them once, they perfect me, and by the time I was like, oh okay, I need to jump here to avoid this, it was too late. So if you are going to play online, definitely unlock a lot of the arms first, experiment with characters. I've played the entire time as Springman. I used a one punch, which was called a toaster, which is just like a normal boxing glove, and then something called a boomerang, which is a big arcing punch. That was my combination. I stuck with that the entire time, and I would recommend anyone playing this game, find the character that you like and stick with just 2 arms, because honestly, if you keep chopping and changing arms, which is fun to do, don't get me wrong, but I really wanted to just be like, this, I want to stick with these arms, I want to see how this plays out. Like I said, I've only played Springman, I've played other characters in the test punch, but I'm just trying to get to a point where I'm competent enough at the game to be like, this combination works for me, and it did. And a lot of matches that I won, I was playing very patiently, and I was catching people out with the boomerang quite a lot. But then I was running into a lot of Bark and Bite players. Now, Bark and Bite, out of all the characters, is an interesting one because it's a big robot dude who's got a pet dog, and the dog can also hit you. Now, out of all the characters, I haven't played as him, but I find him the most frustrating to fight against because the dog gets in the way and blocks a lot of stuff, and it's incredibly annoying. Now, I'm sure over time I'll learn to deal with this and be able to fight that character in a better way. But the people I ran into just had it was just very difficult when you're trying to fight something and you basically have to then deal with this dog that blocks your punches or hits you. Hopefully, like in time, I'll when I find the exact character I want to play with, I'll be able to deal with it. But just a little bit frustrating because most of the other characters you can kind of deal with. They all have their quirks, which is cool. Like every character has something different. Trying to deal with some of these characters as a beginner is very difficult. All in all, I did enjoy my time. I am already enjoying my time in the game. I am going to play a lot more. I think I'm going to put a lot of time into this. But I've also accepted the fact that this game is going to have some frustrating moments, whether it's a little bit with the controls or some of the combinations of arms and certain characters. It's going to be difficult. I know that they're going to balance some of this stuff later down the line, because obviously the game's meant to be fun at the end of the day, and it is, but when you go up against someone who just wrecks you and you never touch them, it can be quite frustrating, but obviously that's a learning curve and I understand that. For me personally, it's like, I will probably play a lot of this game. I want to enjoy this game as much as I already am, and I want to get good at this game, or get to a point where, you know, I'm not being destroyed by anyone. Obviously, I've run into a few people that were already, in a few days, have got very good, found the character for them, and they're very comfortable with. But yeah, there are some frustrating things with it. Obviously, I would like to just do lots of fights. Now, there is a ranked mode that you can do. I haven't touched that yet, and I'm pretty sure I'll just get destroyed if I play it. But it is annoying that I can't just go into a lobby and just have like one-on-ones on all the modes, or just the fun team modes and not the free player 1v1v1 mode, because that's really not fun at all. That's kind of like wait for the other people to fight and then just beat up the other person. These are just my thoughts on the game so far after 2 hours. I'm pretty sure things will change when I get better at the game. I won't be so frustrated by it. I thought I'd just talk about just a few little things about it that I think need to be tweaked. I think less of the 3-player and 4-player like fights and more of the more of the one-on-ones or hoops mode or the volleyball mode with more players, because I think that's just better. because it's just sillier. Also, I would say, like, yeah, just pick a player, learn that player, learn some arms that you're comfortable with, and just go. There's a lot of combinations in this game, there's a lot of content here, but you need to practice, you need to understand that if you are going to use Joy-Con, you are occasionally going to get some control issues where it doesn't respond how you expect it to, or it may accidentally grab when you don't want to do a grab, and that was frustrating, but it's all learning. I'll probably come back at some point and maybe do another video on this and talk about maybe a week later how I feel about the game. For now though, I'm still going to just play lots more of it,